Hello guys, welcome to another video of uNature. So this video is gonna be a bit of a preview for the next update, which is 05. And this update is kind of between the version 1.1 to the initial version, which is 1.0. So what I have in here is, this is the uNature console window, which you probably, the debug window, which you probably know. And in here I've added a new thing. So before we would list all of the prototypes in here just like that, but it won't have this kind of a selection. So right now, instead of showing all of the prototypes at the same time, it's just gonna give you the ability to choose which ones you want to see. So in this case I can click on it and that's it. Okay, so nothing really major there, just some small changes. So here I've had this request a lot of times, and if I just show you quickly, you see this in here, which is create new instances. So create new instances. So basically what this means is that, you know, when you paint like that, if I just show you here, if you paint with uNature at the moment on a black square, you're gonna create a new instance. So it's gonna do that. But some people are accidentally clicking on that and they have to wait all this time. So what I added now is that if you disable this in here, you're not going to be creating new instances when you paint. So if, for instance, I'm going to go to this one here, which is not populated, when I try to paint on it, it's not going to create new instances. But I will still be able to paint over here, for instance. Okay, so this is how it works right now. And it's a lot easier, obviously, so you don't need to just create new instances all the time, and it's not going to be as bothering as it is. So let's save the brush and save the grass maps. So the next thing I've added is the ability to control your cutoff, because a lot of people complain that the cutoff is not good enough. It might be lower, it might be too low, too high. So you can just control it over here, and that's it. Okay, so the next thing I've added is a way for you to control the shader you're using. So before uNature only had one shader, which is pretty basic one, and now I've added a new one which is more advanced. So if I go over here and change it from basic diffuse to advanced, ambient occlusion and normal map, it's going to change the shader. And if I go to it in here, I see that I can now put in here a normal map and occlusion map. So that's pretty good. And next up, just get it back. As you can see, it's going to apply. There you go. And the next thing I've done is I've also made it so the LODs won't be shown all the time, because it took a lot of screen space. So now only when you enable it, it's gonna be shown. And I've also okay, so next thing I've done is I've made you able to paint only on certain textures of the terrain. So no matter how many terrains you have in the scene, it's going to show you all of the textures you have in this little screen over here. So in my terrain that I have over here, I have only 2 textures. So let's say I want to only paint on the sand, and you can see there's no sand in here. So when I'm trying to paint, it's not going to paint anything. If I switch to the grass, it's going to paint. Same goes over there. If I want to go over here and try to paint, so it's going to work. But if I change to the sand, it's going to paint. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And now you have this in here. So the lerp density is obviously from the advanced terrain painting, and this is going to be, it's going to take the amount of sand that is drawn, for instance, because I chose the sand. So if I go over to the terrain and I choose and I paint, just over there. By the way, you can disable the uNature paint by pressing escape, so it's very useful. Okay, so the next thing is I'm gonna use a bit less opacity and a bit less target strength, and I'm going to paint a bit of sand in here, just like that. So you can see there's not a lot of sand in here. If I disable the lerp density and when I try to paint with uNature, it's going to paint everything. But if I enable that, it's only going to paint based on the amount of sand that there is on the terrain. So that's a very cool feature that is going to make it, draw less where it's needed. Okay, and you can obviously choose those two together by clicking Control, and it's going to work normally. Okay, let's save. So another thing that I've added right now is the new rendering and also the culling. So there's also one more thing that I'm going to add in this version, but I didn't finish it yet, and I want to get this video out fast, which is going to be changing your fade distance, or view distance more easily, because right now if you extend like this, you see it's not going to extend more than the patch that it's generated. So what I'm adding right now is that it's going to generate everything. It's going to update automatically, and it's also going to be with a lot more optimizations. So instead of drawing everything, it's going to draw only what's needed. So all of you mobile users and virtual reality users, it's going to help you a lot. So yeah, if you notice this high vertex count is going to be fixed. Anyways, the next thing I've added is, if you noticed on the first version, if I looked over here, this grass obviously all around me, and I looked over here, right? All of the grass behind me would be drawn as well. But in this version, I've added my own culling for uNature, which is only going to draw what you can see. Obviously right now it's not updated because I disabled it in the editor. And if I move, bam, look behind you, nothing there. Go forward. As you can see, it works. There you go. So it's very simple, and it just works very well, and it's really helping with performance, like extremely good, and I'm really happy with it. So that's pretty good. And one more thing that I've added, if I take this in here, okay, so you can see you have this in here. So the touch bending, there were a lot of reports on it that it didn't work and it had a lot of issues, and this is something I've addressed in this version. So if I take so first of all, touch bending can only work in the range that is specified on the touch bending object. So here it's only 50. So if you are more than 50 meters away from the player, it's not going to work. So if I go closer, as you can see, it works. Okay. So now you can actually preview it in editor time. So if I go and take it a bit lower, so just show you this, because it's going to apply touch bending. Obviously it's not very accurate right now because physics are not simulated, but that's pretty much the way it works. And if I go ahead and change the radius of it, it can also be done on runtime, on editor time, sorry. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And you can also change the seeking range and get up, and you can see it also affects it automatically. Hey guys, I'm back. So yeah, as I said, uNature has a limit of 20 touch bending objects in the bounds of the character. So if I take, for this example, the sphere in here, it has a range of 50 meters. So if let me put that back. So if the touch bending object is farther away than 50 meters of the character, it's not going to have touch bending. So for this object over here, see that if I go closer to the grass, there's going to be touch bending. But if I get this lower, so this gets disabled and it won't render on any of the touch bending. Now the reason that uNature has this limit is in order to keep the performance as good as possible. If you have more than that amount, you're probably going to get a performance hit. So uNature is making sure that you won't have any kind of significant performance hit. Now you are able to extend, or more precisely, raise the limit, but it's not that recommended unless you really need it. Now, each one of the touch bending objects can have a different seeking range depending on its priority. So if it's something that needs to be seen from very far away, you will want to have a really big range over here. But if not, you will want to keep this pretty low, as it will help you. It will allow you to have more touch bending objects. So, okay, now you can change everything on runtime as I showed. This in here determines if it will be simulated on runtime. So if I on editor time, sorry, so if I disable this, it's gonna return back to normal. If I enable it, it's gonna be simulated again. Okay, so the last thing actually that I want to show you is going to be the new brushes I've added. So some people, in fact, a lot of people requested me to add some more brushes type, especially the mask types, because what they do is, if I go over here, I'll show you. If I choose this over here, so this is actually masks that I've created really easily. We literally took me about 2 minutes to generate this, and this is just concepts. You can generate any kind of a brush you want. You really have all the abilities to do it. You also have a template in the brushes folder over here if I just show you. Resources, brushes, and you can basically generate your own brush if you want. So what this does is, if I just click on that, you're gonna see it's gonna generate in certain mask, okay? and you're going to be able to have this kind of a nice effect of not just full out dense grass just like that. You're going to be able to have some kind of a nice simulation. So this is just placeholder, and it's just really just an example. So you can really have a play with this and really make whatever you want with it. It's just an example for you to work with. And then you also have this in here, which is also a sketch, but it's pretty cool, and it just works, and this is all that's important. And yeah, that's pretty much for the update now. As I said, there's also some things that I didn't have in this video. For instance, the map magic integration that has been broken it will be fixed in this version, and also the new per instance LODs that I'll be implementing. And yeah, pretty much it's a really good update, I guess, in my opinion. I've added a lot of things, fixed a lot of things, so I hope you guys will like it, and that's it. Bye.